Alright, guys. Today I would like to show you how to start your own fantasy football league, and I will be creating one on the ESPN website and using the ESPN fantasy football app to do all my in-season adjustments and things of that nature. So here we go. We log on to the internet, and I went to ESPN.com. Search bar on the side, go to fantasy. And then you can see the two leagues I'm in right now. One team, Hawaii Kai Heavyweights, and Feed Me, which is one league that I do, a 12-team league that I do with friends and coworkers and family. And it's good fun. I'm the commissioner, and I give first and last place trophies. And it's just a lot of fun to kind of try one up your coworkers and things of that nature. If you wanted to start your own fantasy one, you go to fantasy football, and then where it says sign up right here at the top middle, and then you can either get a team by joining a public league or create a league, which is what we're going to do today. I like doing 12-team leagues. I know a lot of leagues are 10 teams, but I feel like 12 gives you a little bit more guys, and it makes it a little bit more interesting. 6 teams for a division, so I'm going to go with 12 teams. We'll just keep it as Justin's league for now. And I love me some PPR. Usually I like to do 1 point per reception, so I'm going to keep the PPR. And then invite friends. Right now, I was thinking about creating this one for if anybody wanted to join me in a league this year. I would just invite people from the comments section or something along those lines. So I would just be creating this video for people that are interested. So comment in the obviously comment section and tell me if you are interested, if you'd like to be in this league. And I'll be coming out with videos every week about player positions, rankings, things of that nature. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that will be disappointed with me. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would like to show me that they're smarter than me. So I'll be waiting for those people to join. So I'll just keep my name Feed Me as usual. It's kind of a spin off Ezekiel Elliott. My favorite team is the Dallas Cowboys, so I love Ezekiel Elliott, and his go-to thing is keep feeding him. So I kind of stole that. Feed me. Plus, I'm a big guy, so I like to eat. So feed me is something that I'm always thinking about. So here's my league I just created. Next thing you're going to want to do is go to your rules. And you're going to want to read, obviously, all the rules and regulations and things of that nature. Alright, so the next thing you're going to want to do after going to rules is go to your settings, your league settings. And this is where you can set up your basic settings, which shows that it's a head-to-head points per reception league. I'm the league manager. There's 12 teams, and making the league viewable to the public is obviously what I'd like to do. That way anybody, like I said, that wants to join can see it in the join a league section and join if they'd like. The draft settings you can edit. So I like using the snake draft, similar to how the NFL does their regular draft. I haven't scheduled the draft yet, so we can do that right now. Usually I like to do it the weekend before the regular season starts. So I think the first game of the season starts September 10th. So I'm going to try set it for September 5th, which is, I think, the Saturday. Yeah, the Saturday before. And I like to do mine in the morning. I live on Oahu, Hawaii. So obviously my time zone is going to be different than a lot of other people's. Seconds per pick, I like 90 seconds. Um, you can just leave that. Draft order, I don't really like setting it up myself. I like to let it randomize 1 hour before draft time. That way it kind of does it on its own. And then you got to save your changes. After you set up your draft, you're going to want to look at your total roster. So the next section after draft settings is roster. So has roster size, total starters, total on bench. So I like to leave this as the default ones that they leave out. 16 is good for roster size. Total starters is 9 with the amount of players on the starting roster that you can look at in the next section, and total on the bench 7 is fine. So I like to have one quarterback as your starter, two running backs, two wide receivers, one tight end, and one flex. And then also one defense, special teams, and one kicker. The only thing that I edit is the amount of running backs that you're allowed to have, because I've been in leagues before where guys will grab up every single running back off of waiver wire, and then you're left searching for a running back. You have two, maybe three running backs, and one gets injured, and then you're searching for one, and one guy has 8 of them. So I like to switch to where the maximum amount of running backs you can hold is 5. So you have two starting running backs, and the most you can hold is 5, which is still quite a bit. Even if you use one for a flex, that's 3 running backs in your starting lineup, and then 2 additional ones on the bench. So that seems a little bit excessive, but I think for this league, I would actually like to add one additional flex. So we're going to actually have 10 guys as starters and 6 on the bench, because we will have 2 flexes this year, which I feel like will be interesting. Usually I only have one flex in most of the leagues that I'm in. And then when you look, obviously it adjusted the roster size. It went from 16 to 17 and starters from 9 to 10. And if you're done making your saves or your changes, just go to save changes at the bottom. And next to do is your scoring, which usually I just leave default. I feel like this is a good metric to go off. I like that quarterbacks get negative 2 points for interceptions thrown. Usually I don't mind giving quarterbacks only 4 points per touchdown, but I think this year I'd like to change that to 6. Just to make things a little more interesting, to make quarterbacks a little bit more relevant than they usually are. Like, unless you have Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes, usually most quarterbacks aren't lighting the world on fire. So I would like to maybe incentivize people to draft quarterbacks higher. Other than that, I don't change anything. Well, usually I don't change anything, but for this league, I would like to change just your quarterback's points. So I will go to scoring and edit. And then passing touchdown. And instead of 4 points, you get 6 points. And maybe I think we'll add Passing touchdown of 50 plus yards will get you one additional point. I feel like that would be fair. That would be fun. And then let's go down here. If a running back has a 100-yard rushing game, I feel like he should get rewarded for that as well. So let's give him 2 points for that. And then a receiver, also, if he has 100 points, I would like to give him a reward for that as well. So I'd like to give him 1 point. I just feel like one is fair, because I feel like more wide receivers can get 100 yards a little bit easier than running backs getting 100 yards. So once you've looked over all of the points, and if you agree with everything, obviously you go down to the bottom, you save the changes, and then they'll be implemented into your league. You can keep playing around with the scoring and things of that nature. Until you have everything exactly how you want it. You can obviously customize this to have more points, less points. Then obviously you can come and look at all your changes. So the only real changes I made was passing touchdown, 6 points. There it is. And if you have over rushing yards, 100 yards rushing, you get 2 points. And if you have over 100 yards receiving, you get 1 point. So those are the only scoring changes I made. And then your next section is teams and divisions. So usually the odd number teams are in the East, the even number teams are in the West, and that's, from what I've noticed, it seems like whoever logs in to this league next will be team 2, the person after that will be team 3, so it kind of randomizes your divisions. You can manually set up who's in whose division if you want. You can change the team's name. You can put a different location. You can change the division names. But I like the way they are. And this one is really important as well, the transaction section. Because lineup changes is really important. You don't want it to be anything other than locked it at start of the game. That way, obviously you can't start a guy that played on Monday night and it's Tuesday and you're trying to do your lineup or whatever else. And they already are. That's obviously a bad analogy because that would count it for the last week. But so Thursday team played and you're putting them in your starting lineup on Friday or things of that nature. That's not very common, so you don't have to worry about that. Acquisition limit for waivers, I don't like to put a limit on that. 1 day waiver period is good for me. Waiver order, I like it to reset each week to inverse order of standings. So usually if your team's at the bottom of the standings this week, then they should be the number 1 team in line for waivers, which to me only makes sense. This is what you want to pay the most attention to, is the trade rules. So the trade limit, last year I did a league with no limit and guys were trading out the wazoo and it just got unfun really quickly. So I like to set it to like 3 trades. That way guys can still trade, but nothing crazy. And I think the first week of the season is September 6th. So if it's a 13-week season, I'll do like week 6 as the trade deadline. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're looking at October 18th. And then trade review period 2 days, and votes required to veto trade. I had it at 5 in last year's league, but then to get 5 people to go on and veto a trade, or just to, like, if everybody doesn't check their lineup till the end of the week and somebody tries to pull a trade on Monday and it goes through on Wednesday and nobody reviewed it, then it could go through. So I like to make it a little bit lower to where 3 teams are only required to veto it. I don't do keeper leagues. But maybe I'll start this year. And I'll do 2 keepers. And we'll just lock it 1 hour before the draft. So we'll save the changes. And then I think those are the main things that I wanted to get to. And then obviously you can look at your regular season schedule and your playoff bracket. Obviously, depending on how you want to do it, your playoff bracket, usually it's 4 teams with 2 weeks per playoff matchup. I usually like to leave that. If it's 12 team league, then a third of the teams make it to the playoffs. I feel like that's fair. 2 weeks per playoff matchup, which kind of bit me in the butt last year because I had the number 1 team in one of my leagues and I played the number 4 seed in the playoffs, and I won the first week, but then week 2 the guy bounced back and beat me and knocked me out in the first round of playoffs, which was really disappointing, but such is life. I think it makes it more interesting if you have it 2 weeks, because if you lose the first week, then you still have a chance to win in week 2. It kind of shows who's the better team, because it goes off total points, and I feel like anybody can have a fluke week, but to win 2 weeks in a row kind of just shows that you're the winner. So the start of the regular season is week 1 of the NFL regular season. Weeks per matchup, 1 week. That makes sense for the regular season. Regular season matchups, 13 weeks. Matchup tiebreaker. Let's go with, we'll want to put a tiebreaker in there. Let's go with most bench points, I guess, because that'll show who has the more complete team. Home field advantage, I don't really like home field advantage. So then you can view your whole schedule, week 1 through 13 of the regular season, and then you can look at week 14 and 15, which is your first round of the playoffs, and week 16 and 17, which is a little troublesome because some teams in the NFL like to rest a lot of their star players in week 16 or 17 if they have the playoffs locked up. So that just makes your job a little more interesting, trying to find waiver wire candidates, or maybe it's better for guys that are starting players that are on teams that are 8-7 and fighting for the playoffs or what have you. So you can just go to save changes. And then you've got it all set up. And then if you want to add owners later, so right now it only has my team in this league. So you just go to invite owners. And then you can just copy the link. You just press the copy link button. And then you can add an email address over here to email your friends or family members. Or you can use that link and send a text message to your friends, which is what I do every year. I just copy the link, send it via text, and a lot of my friends will just join from their phone. And that's so you can either try and add them on Twitter, Facebook, you can send them an email, you copy the link, and you can send it via text, and they can just click on the link. It'll send them straight to your league home, and they can create their team, and that's about it. The only other thing I wanted to show you guys was I also have the ESPN Fantasy Football app downloaded, which I always use the app during the regular season. It's really difficult to do all of your league settings on the app. You can create a league. It's just you have a hard time setting up your settings, like how we change the quarterback's touchdown points from 4 to 6, or your roster size, or whatever else. It's a lot easier to do that from the internet on the ESPN website than it is to do them on the app. But I love using the app for just the regular season. You can go to your roster, and obviously you can, once you've done the draft, you can set your lineup. Here's your bench players. See how we got the 2 flexes in there. And you can go from week to week setting up your lineup if you want ahead of time, or obviously you can do it every single week. You can look at your matchups. So this is me versus Team 11 week 1. And then you can obviously go across and look at who else is playing each other, which days of the week. And then you can go to the top and look at players. Obviously it's going to show you top players available for the draft currently. But once we have the draft, then it will just primarily show you who's available on waiver wire. So this is obviously where you want to check every Sunday while the games are going on, and you're seeing like DJ Chark tearing it up for the Jaguars week 1, and you go and you're like, oh, who has DJ Chark? Let me look him up on the players section, and what do you know, he's on the waiver wire. So you put in a request for DJ Chark in this section, in the player section. Once, like I said, you have the draft and all of these players are on people's rosters. And then you can go to your league. You can do your standings, your schedule, and playoff bracket. So this is your 13-week schedule. And then you can go to your playoff brackets. You have your consolation bracket down here, which hopefully none of you guys will be in. Hopefully I'll be up here in the projected winners bracket. And then it shows you your waiver order. So right now, obviously there's no real rankings right now, so it just shows that I'm at the top of the waiver wire. You can write messages, and I can create league manager polls. Like one interesting one I did 2 years ago that I lost was myself and my cousin had an argument who would score more points, fantasy points in a PPR league, Adam Thielen or Cole Beasley. And I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, so of course I let my bias control me, and I picked Cole Beasley. And at the end of the year, I owed my cousin a Adam Thielen Minnesota Vikings jersey, and unfortunately I had to pay up, and he was pretty happy, but I was not. So we could do something like that in this league. So you can look at your season standings. Obviously, this goes up and down weekly, shows your win percentage, how many games you're back from first place, what your overall record is. So it's really interesting. So that's about it. So you can either access this on the website at ESPN.com, or you can go to the ESPN Fantasy Football app, which is what I love to use. And there you go. You got everything you need. I also do leagues on the NFL app. So I obviously really enjoy using this app as well. I just feel like I'm a lot more accustomed to the ESPN app, and I just really enjoy that one, the scoring and everything along those lines. I just enjoy the ESPN app more than the NFL app. So that's why I like to do more leagues on the ESPN league. But if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please leave a like, leave a comment down below, and let me know if you'd like to see a video on how to create an NFL app fantasy football league creation, or how to get signed in, or things of that nature. Pretty soon, hopefully, I'll be loading in a video of my top 40 running backs for the draft this year, followed by next week I'll be doing my wide receivers, and so on and so forth from there. If you are interested in joining this league, please let me know. And good luck on your fantasy quest. Hopefully you don't lose any side bets and everything is wonderful. But for me, that's everything, and thank you for watching.